As time went by, little Lalia grew older and started joining her at the farm and in the markets. Little Lalia grew up to be a very wise little girl. She would do and say things that no kid her age would be expected to even understand. She only needed to be taught a thing once and it will forever remain with her, and she would be adept at it almost immediately. At the age of 12, she was already a highly skilled farmer. She knew how to grow many crops and mastered the seasons perfect for growing them. She was also much loved by the villagers at the markets, where she sold her produce. They looked forward to buying them from her as she always came with the best harvest. She was always so happy and proud to run home and give Lalia, whom she called Mother, her daily sales. Lalia did tell her stories about her mother. However, she was wary of telling her that the woman in the stories was her true mother, as she did not want little Lalia telling anyone for fear that her identity might be found out. Lalia struggled to remain human, but the desire to have human blood haunted her, and this weakened her with each passing day. Being part witch, she could only stay away from consuming blood for a while. She tried to stave off this desire with some of the herbs she grows, and this did help a little, but her cravings got stronger and stronger. One day, it got so serious that she could not even get out of bed. She was so sick that she remained in bed for a while. One of her severe bouts of weakness coincided with the harvest season's market fair. During these festivities, Lalia always looked forward to going to the market to sell their harvest. It was an exciting time for both her and little Lalia. It pained her that this time she could not enjoy the festivities with her beloved girl. Little Lalia had to take care of both the farm and their market stall. It always baffled her how the little girl manages to effortlessly balance all these activities. She could not fathom how little Lalia would go to the market with so many produce, yet come back by midday with all of them sold. She would even see her sometimes go back to the farm to fetch more produce to sell. In her experience, even when there is demand, she was never able to sell so much in one day, all on her own. The first time little Lalia came home early, she thought it was because there was no one to buy their produce, but she could not be more wrong. The little girl continued to come home early to fetch for more produce, and by the end of the week, they were nearly out of supply, even the ones she reserved for their own use. As this trend continued, she started to ask her how she does it. That was when little Lalia informed her that she usually got help from a gentleman who claimed to have a long-lost sister who bears the same name as her. Lost sister? Lalia weakly asked, whilst laying on the bed. Yes, he said that he had been looking for her for a very long time, but is still yet to find her. What is his name? Damfara. Uncle Damfara, little Lalia cheerfully offered. This shocked the witch, for she immediately knew who he was. Damfara was her father's family name. Damfara is her family name. And she was almost certain that this Damfara fellow was one of her half-brothers. She could almost guess why her half-brother was looking for her now, and the witch pondered over this new turn of events. Little Lalia, being her usual lively self, was chattering away about her newfound friend and what they get up to at the market. Mother, do you know he takes all our produce to the royal servants at the palace kitchen? They buy all and even ask for more. That is why I always finish everything I take to the market. Little Lalia continued excitedly chattering. When she did not hear her mother's response, she turned towards her only to realize that she was not even attentive to her presence. She had given her shoulder a mild squeeze and asked, Mother, what is it? Nothing. You have not told him about me yet, have you? Lalia asked curiously. No, I only told him that you were unwell and that was why you could not come with me to the market. To this, Lalia turned away from the girl, still lost in thought. Okay, you can go rest now. No more selling for the time being. Our produce is almost finished. At this rate, we will not even have any left to eat, she ordered, weary of the girl's newfound friendship. But mother, Uncle Damfara told me to bring more, little Lalia protested. Shush now. You must be very tired. Go take a bath and take a little rest. I will prepare food for us, okay? Lalia said, coaxing the girl as she handed over the gold coin she earned from selling their produce. Little Lalia decided to let it go this time, as her mother was sick and she did not want to disturb her. The next day, little Lalia was not allowed to go to the market. Lalia told her that there is no need going back to the market. They had enough money for now, and besides, they barely had any stock left to even live on. Little Lalia was inclined to disagree with her mother, but decided to do her bidding. After all, her mother was getting weaker from her illness as the days went by. Lalia did not go back to the market since then. She stayed at home to help around the house with the cooking and other menial chores that her mother could no longer carry out with ease. Even though she no longer sold at the market, she still helped Lalia sell her healing herbs at home when the villagers sought them. Her mother's concoctions were getting popular amongst the villagers, and little Lalia was always eager to learn about them from her mother, and it was not long before she was able to sell them all on her own without Lalia's directions. When there was nothing to be done, she would go to the adjoining compounds to play with her friends. This continued for the whole week. Back at the market, Uncle Damfara waited for her to come every day. As the days went by, she never came. After a week went by, he got worried and decided to go looking for her. He started asking around for anyone who knew the little girl or where she lived. He did not have to search far before he found someone to tell him where to find Lalia. As soon as he knew, he set out for her house to make sure that no harm had come to her. As he entered the compound, he began to call out her name to announce his presence. Lalia had started recovering, and on that day she was able to get out of bed, so when she heard her name being called out, she decided to find out who the voice belonged to. She assumed it was one of her neighbors, looking to buy some of her herbal concoctions. The moment she saw him, she froze, and the look on her face changed. Even though she was a little weak, her senses remained sharp as ever. She knew that her father's blood ran in this visitor's veins the moment she set her eyes on him. Damfara was, however, not as quick to recognize her. Although she seemed a bit odd to him, he did not recognize her. It was not until his gaze ran over the woman that he noticed her unusual fingers. Then it sunk in for him. He could not believe his eyes, and even though he was certain that it was Lalia, he still wanted to be certain. As Lalia stared down at him, she could see the blood almost drain from his face as he began to realize who she was. However, Lalia could also see that he was scared to admit it to himself, so she decided to put him out of his misery and snarled, "What do you want?" This confirmed Damfara's suspicions. It is her, he thought as he felt a strong sense of relief wash over him. He finally knew who she was and was glad to have found her. This made him ecstatic as he had almost given up on ever finding his sister. "Sister!" he screamed as he reached out to embrace her. He did not even wait to be invited. He was awash with emotions, and by now tears were streaming down his face relentlessly. By this time, little Lalia, who had gone to the river to fetch some water, had just walked in the compound and was met with this bizarre, tearful scene. She curiously looked on as the events unfolded. "We have looked everywhere for you, sister," he cried, still overwhelmed by the happiness over finally finding his long-lost sister. "I am not your sister. I stopped being that when you all so callously betrayed me." She did not know his name, but she knew he was the little baby that lay on the bed crying as she attacked her stepmother that fateful night. She knew that he was her stepmother's child, the same woman who had accused her of her father's death, the same woman who had awoken the other side of her and made her what she was today.